Hey, welcome everybody to another session of Conscious Gatherers. It's Terry Palma here with Bev Thompson, and we'll be with you for the next 30 minutes to discuss whatever comes to mind, and then we'll open it up for the last 10 minutes or so from questions that you might have. Bev, are you with us?
I am, and welcome everybody.
Great. So why don't you lead us off this evening, Bev?
All right, I will do that. I'm going to start off because Terry and I were talking on the phone just a few days ago, and Terry, unless you have a little different take on it, but you had heard in your head, so to speak, or heart, the great experiment, and so we had talked, and so I had texted you to read one of my writings. And you said you had a marker at that writing and didn't realize it. And so what I wanted to say about that is the synchronicity. The more that we awaken within ourselves, we're going to see more synchronicity. And then I remember saying to you, because I wrote it down because I thought it was good, get used to it. So as we move more into our awareness, start getting used to the synchronicities that come into your life. And another thing that's along those lines is pay attention. Thoughts coming to you. And not that long ago, I got very clearly the words, do not dismiss anything. And I remember sitting on the sofa and thinking, okay. I won't dismiss anything, even though I found out that I had after that, and I laughed at something that happened in my life, and because I dismissed it, and then I thought, wow, that next time I'm going to pay a lot closer attention. So it's like I was challenging it, and it's like, why am I doing that? So anyway, some of the exercises, Terry, that you have shared and tools that you have shared with us all really helps get us into that heart area. All right. Any comments on that before I keep going?
It was quite interesting because a thought came to me. At any given time, I've got 3 books on my side desk there that I'm currently reading, and I bookmark where I'm left off. And so I had this urge about the great experiment, and of course I know what it is, but I wanted to go and reference and read on it again because it came to mind. So I texted Bev and asked her, or called Bev and asked her, is that in one of her books? And she says, I believe so. I believe I wrote it, and it's in the second book. I'll go check. So she texted me, and she said, yeah, it's in book 2, and it's chapter 54. The pump. So I said, okay. So I hung, put the phone down, and I went and grabbed her second book and went to and just opened because I have it bookmarked. I hadn't read it probably in at least 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month. I pick them up, different books. So it's bookmarked where I left off last time. So I opened it up, and sure enough, it's right on chapter 54, the pump. And I said, well, obviously I was supposed to go back to this and read it now. So that's what she was referring to, and it is. You just be aware of what comes to awareness, to your consciousness, and act on it. And you'd be surprised of what goes on in your life when you do that. So I was so giddy, and kind of like a kid, I called Bev. I said, guess you. I said, you can't guess, and I said, yes, you can. And we both had a good laugh about it. But so that's what she was referring to, and I always listen to what my consciousness is telling me to do, and so far it's been good to me to do that. Back to you, Beth.
So this is how we're changing on this earth. So I love how this all works out. It's fun. It makes it fun, and and we're here to have fun. And even though at times we question that, but anyway. Okay, as I was looking at things to talk about today, and in fact, pulling out some of the information from the writing called The Pump, which is in book 2 for those that have my books. It's, again, book number, writing number, or chapter number 54, and it's on page 178. Of course, if you do have a Kindle book, there's no page numbers, but at least gives you the writing to take a look at. But as I was reading that over and over and over again, because it really is a well-written writing, and I can own that, which I do, but at the same time, it's a channeled information, and it's really, really cool how the words come through, because it's it's not necessarily the way I speak at all. So it's really fun. All right. So, I'm going to start here now, because it's what we have talked about in all of our episodes so far about how things come in through the heart. And I mentioned the heart chakra, or the mission control center. And we had talked about how our mind moves the energy. And when I say mind, that can also mean the heart-mind, heart-brain. So it's the whole system, so to speak. So what I was told is that all movement starts with the heart. And I think, Terry, you have even given us ways to really realize that. I think that's a double word, really realize. Anyway, when something comes to the heart, our mind moves the energy into position, and it's like an outward manifestation. So overall, our energies that exist in our bodies are much of a larger force. Again, I've talked about this, and it can be called the God force, or our higher self, all these different words that we have used. Source self is another one. So regarding here on Earth, each individual on our Earth plane can use this God force in whatever way we want. It's a free will planet. So the idea or the spark starts in the heart area. The mind, which includes the brain and the three major glands, the pineal, hypothalamus, and the pituitary, they go into action and sort out the message received. The mind will act and put the energy into motion. So through the body's sensory receptors, we receive the energy released by another. And so this energy is in like a constant flow and can be changed or transmuted through the heart-mind. So creation continues with this process. The human chooses, us, what we want to experience. The energy is worked within the total system, which is termed God. So that's that. So now we're in this ended the great experiment, which we had talked about, but a little bit more on that. And when we read the writing called The Pump, the first sentence is, "Now is the moment when all people shall come to be known as the winners of a very incredible project." Think about that. This project, it's been talked about many times, and we all volunteered to be a part of it. We're the ones that put it in place and in motion. So, and we did this and volunteered to be here on this earth so that we would know more of ourselves. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any comment on that, Terry?
Oh, keep going.
All right. So what we have done is that we have put into this project our knowledge, our principles of life, combined into a synthesis of awareness, confined in these forms, what we call our human bodies. And however, it's also our other physical bodies. Again, we had talked about this because we have different aspects of ourselves. And in what we call our total higher self or God self or source self, all right? And the great experiment is us experiencing life on a third-dimensional experiential plane. And so our memories of our other earth lives remain in our physicality, and they remain in the chromosomes of our DNA, connecting ourselves to the book of records. Now, what is the book of records? It actually includes, it's an energetic force, for the lack of another word to use, but it includes our creations, man's creations, and his being created. Therefore, it's always in continuous manifestation. Therefore, we're still writing our records. And all that is we're experiencing what we want to experience within our total self, which is in turn part of the family of God, or whatever word you want to use. Okay? So, what is happening now is that we're having memories of these other lives, or issues may come up within these other lives that affect us in this earthly life now. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. If I don't make sense, let me know. So here's couple words that I was given, and I like them. They said the possibilities are always available within the context of creation. You will absolutely remember that you are the creators. That is, really, there is no out there. Got it? And you will know, and you will position yourselves as the grand masters that accomplish this incredible project. So the project's now accomplished. What we decided. Go ahead.
No, that's just someone coming in.
All right. All right. All right. So we decided to accomplish, and that's to understand the nature of ourselves in our many aspects, even within the fields of an extremely low vibration. So this earth plane is what we term a lower vibration. That does not mean that we are lowly beings at all. We are these incredible, courageous beings that volunteered to be here on this earth to make the changes that are going on right now. And it takes a very high-powered, aware individual to do that. So we can all pat ourselves on the back and keep on going. All right. Any questions on that?
We're good.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Now we're taking ourselves to a whole new level. And we are indeed taking our present physicality to a whole new level. So we're acknowledge that we have succeeded in the third dimensional plane of manifestations. Third dimension means it's basically a lower vibrational being. Again, it takes a very courageous being to go into the lower vibrations, if that makes sense. So we're moving into a new time capsule, which is basically time and space, prepared by us for ourselves. Again, we're the ones that put this project together. So it's kind of like one of your what if. Oh, really? It's like, why would I do that? There's so many people saying, I'm done, I want out of here. But at the same time, we're still here and we're doing it. And the more that we understand and the more that we are aware, we realize we are doing it. All right. I hear some action going on in the phone.
Yeah, I gotta mute myself. We just lost all electricity, so I'm gonna mute myself. Keep going for a while, and I'll be back.
All right. Whoa. All right. He'll be back, and I'll just keep on talking here. And I think we have a few listeners listening live. All right. So now the Earth is splitting, but not in the third dimensional physical sense, yet it's physical. So we are ascending into the fourth through the fifth or the fifth to the seventh dimensions. And that means really part of ourselves also reside in those dimensions. So, but this time we're doing it using the basics of our physical body, yet our current physical bodies are being adjusted to accommodate the higher energy frequencies. So in the coming days, or now, we're starting to notice these changes. And a lot of these changes cannot be mistaken for a major illness. And a lot of us think, gosh, is this an energy thing, or is this something it's something physical that I need to go to the doctor for? So if you're not sure, go to the doctor. Might as well get it checked out. Or ask yourself, is it an energy thing, or is this something I need to get a checkup on? However, when I just said that some of these changes cannot be mistaken for a major illness, and that's when we're even more aware. And that is when we're totally aware of what is happening in and around ourselves. We will know what experience is that we're going through, the changes to be as we begin to more easily communicate with the other parts of ourselves, which is, again, happening. There will be no fear accompanied with this process, as all fear will diminish upon this earth. And right now, a lot of people are fearing what's going on in this earth. But I feel, hey, we're doing this, and it may look a little awkward the way we're doing it, but it's something that needs to be done for us to move into the higher dimensions. There will be those that will remain in the lower dimensions, and that's fine, because that's where they need or want to experience. And it's not better or worse than. There's none of that. It just is. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. All right. Now, we project out, and it's like we are the projectors, and those that we see are in our projections. And last week, Terry had talked about what in me is causing this in the world. Again, we're projecting it. We're projecting out. So we're causing what's going on in the world, each one of us. So again, there's no finger pointing. We talked about that last week. You may point the finger at so-and-so, and you got three fingers pointing back at you. So just remember that we've succeeded, and we are transcending the old plan, and the new plan is now taking shape out of our projections into a new capsule, time-space, yet we have the means to move anywhere, anytime. So it's really phenomenal who and what we are. So, anybody listening wants to add to that, I would love to go ahead and unmute yourselves if you want and ask any questions. And because I'm not sure if Terry's back on. Nope, not yet. So they must have a problem with their house. So go ahead and unmute. If you did hit *6, you can hit that again, or just hit your mute button. And I would love to hear from you.
I'm Beverly.
Yes.
Hey, this is Lee. Did I hear you earlier in this conversation make a statement to the effect of it takes a brave person to operate at lower frequency?
Yes. Yes, sir. Sure did.
What does that mean?
That means it's not that easy to operate in a lower density when you know you have everything within you. And in order to know ourselves that much more is to go into those lower frequencies. And so we put this great experiment into action. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, because it's not exactly a playground that we may have been used to, if that makes sense to you. At least this is my take on it. And being on this earth, for many of us, it hasn't been that easy.
Yeah. So let me give you my take, Bev. Lee, let me answer that too in another way. So first of all, we are all sons and daughters of the Creator. And so we've never left the Creator, and we're one. So we are very blessed and supreme beings. And the great experiment was and is for that consciousness to come into density, into duality, and for that instance, however long that is, not have remembrance of who we are. And the whole goal of what we're doing here now on Earth in this plane is to learn who we are. And once we know who we are, what we can do, there's no limit to what we can do. So when she says that it takes great courage to give up knowing who you are and what your capabilities are and come into a dense world where your abilities are still there if you knew who you were, but you don't know who you are. What made the Master Jesus so powerful was he remembered who he was. I don't know at what time and frame in his life he did, but he gained full consciousness of who he was and what this plane he was in had limits. And he knew there were no limits to him or us. I want to make that very clear. There are no limits to us either once we wake up into who we really are and what this duality and dimension is. And that, I hope that explains it. I'm going to go into a little bit more about what if later, but that's basically what Bev was saying from my standpoint. Is that clear?
Yeah, it does. It does, and thank you for your comments. I think that what I'm trying to get my mind around is when you say there's no limits, I'm thinking, oh, well, I can be a billionaire if I want to. But you're not really talking about on that plane. I think you're talking about spiritually and mentally and the peace in your mind and heart and how you affect the world and the people around you.
Actually, Lee, if you wanted to be a billionaire, you could. It's the doubts that you have. You don't believe you can be one, therefore you can't be one. It's because what I'm going to say later, and I'll say it now, what if we're this density that we came into, what if it's all a virtual reality? What if we are conscious agents and we've been placed ourselves into a virtual reality where it's all a simulation and we create what's in that simulation? So there are no limits. And when the masters come in and they realize where they are, they have no limits, because the physical limits that we think that are here are all illusions. So once we realize that, when Jesus performed what we call miracles, he just realized that he's not going to buy into the virtual reality illusion of the plane he's in, and he's going to exert what he knows that everybody is, and to them unaware, it appears to be a miracle, but actually it's the natural state of all of us just being in and not realizing it because we're in this virtual reality. And so since I'm on that, I'm going to give you reference a book that everybody should read, if I can read it here in the dark. The author is Donald Hoffman, and it's the book, let me see here, the book is called, if I can read it again in the dark, The Case Against Reality. And he's a mathematician. He's a professor at the University of California at, it's in California, it's one of those. But in his book, he's got a mathematical formula that shows actually that everything here is an illusion. There's nothing real. And there's a lot of other materials that follow that also. The Course in Miracles talks about that we're all living in an illusion. Ho'oponopono talks about that, because we create our environment and we can change our environment by the methods I've already talked about. So there's a lot of evidence out there, and scientists are just coming around to, it's actually, they've shown it for quite a while, that we're living in a virtual reality. It's important. If I step in front of a train in this virtual reality, I'm going to leave it. Just as if I'm in a virtual reality and I want to go have lunch, I can take off my headset and go have lunch. I'm still not in the game. People know I'm not there. I'm gone. I'm not interacting with them. the same thing here, except it's a much grander scale, but it's absolutely phenomenal what capabilities there are here. And so the purpose of part of what Bev and I are doing is to say, and again, what I'm saying could be a bunch of bull. So the question is, what if we are in a virtual reality? What if we are in control of what the images we see and how we interact with them? And once we realize that, what kind of control do we have over our environment and what we do and see and act? And all those things, Course in Miracles, Ho'oponopono, Donald Hoffman's book, A Case for Reality or Against Reality, those are all pointing to that it makes sense. Listen to me for 1 minute. Let's say that you're a religious person. It doesn't matter what religion. And we all know that the Creator is a loving force. It doesn't matter what it says. What loving force would put their children in harm's way? So we can't be in a reality that's real. It's something that we've created to learn from, but it can't be real because our Creator would never create an environment that would be harmful to us. It's just not capable because our Creator has to be a loving parent. And if you put that in perspective, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know all about it. I'm still trying to figure it out. I probably will leave this virtual reality without figuring it all out, but at least I've got some glimpse of it from my perspective, and every day I'm trying to work on how I form the virtual reality that I'm in, how I interact with people, and that's why Ho'oponopono says take 100% responsibility for what happens to you in your life, because no one's at blame, definitely not our Creator, and no one else that is to blame. Whatever comes to you in this life, you've brought it, you've attracted it, you've created it for a particular lesson to learn. No matter what you think it is, no matter how painful you might think it is, in reality, it's not painful and it will all be gone, and at some point you'll be able to realize that. A hard lesson for us it's hard to grasp. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's where I'm coming from. That was a mouthful.
That was great. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Lee and those that are here live will hear this because I lost all electricity here. I still have no electricity. So the number that I called in and was recording went dead. So I'm on a cell phone. So this whole call is probably not recorded.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. God, it was a great one. Oh, well.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's in the field. So, yeah, we won't be able to. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say that.
Right. We don't know. We'll see. I'll see if it somehow got uploaded and stuff. But Lee, I hope that gives you some light on, at least my perspective, Bev's perspective. Again, don't take anything we say as the gospel, as you had said. It's just our belief, our system, and we're just sharing it. And it's everybody's responsibility to take it in and see how it resonates with them.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess it's open up for questions here. It's almost 7:30, so we're past the question time. I got on a roll, I guess, and just kept talking. So if anybody else has any questions, or Bev, you want to add anything, this would be the time because we're close to ending this session.
Right. Oh, I think we covered a lot tonight, a lot to think about, a lot to take in, and, I just want to leave it at that. And if we need to repeat some of this on the next episode, we will. We'll see what's been recorded. But if it didn't record, that's the way it's supposed to be for whatever reason. So it's pretty interesting when you look at life in a new light, and if it's supposed to be, it will, and it's whatever you choose, and that's why our choices are so important. So
well, that's great. Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say, love yourself totally, because we are all absolutely incredible beings.
All right, everyone. We want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for your questions. Again, we'll be here next week on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern Time.
No, 7 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. You're right. It's 7:30 now. I'm completely off my kilter because I have no light around me. So I must create my own light and move forward. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for listening.
Good night.